November 24, 1971. Thanksgiving Eve. Portland, Oregon. A man walks up to the Northwest Orient Airlines counter at Portland International Airport. He's wearing a dark suit, black tie, white shirt, dark sunglasses. He looks like a businessman. Unremarkable. Forgettable. "One ticket to Seattle, please," he says. One way, he pays cash. $20. He gives a name, Dan Cooper. The ticket agent barely looks at him. It's a busy travel day. Thanksgiving. Everyone's going somewhere. Flight 305. Departure, 2:50 p.m. A short hop. Portland to Seattle. 30 minutes in the air, the man boards. Takes a seat in the rear. 18E, middle row. Aisle seat. He orders a bourbon and soda. Lights a cigarette. Calm. Relaxed. At 3 p.m., about 10 minutes after takeoff, he hands a note to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. She assumes it's a phone number. A flirtation. It happens all the time. She puts it in her pocket without reading it. "Miss, you'd better look at that note," the man says quietly. "I have a bomb." Florence unfolds the note. Her face goes pale. "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit next to me. You are being hijacked." She sits. He opens his briefcase slightly. Just enough for her to see inside. Red cylinders. Wires. A battery. "It looks real. I want $200,000 in $20 bills," he says calmly. 4 parachutes. And a fuel truck standing by in Seattle. "If you cooperate, no one gets hurt," Florence nods. Walks to the cockpit. Tells the pilot, Captain William Scott radios Seattle. Notifies authorities. The FBI is alerted. The plane circles while demands are met. On the ground, the FBI scrambles. $200,000 in cash. 4 parachutes, 2 primary, 2 reserve. They photograph every serial number on every bill. At 5:39 p.m., Flight 305 lands in Seattle. The man's demands are met. Money and parachutes are brought on board. All 36 passengers are released. They have no idea what's happening. They think it's a mechanical delay. Now it's just the hijacker, the flight crew, and $200,000 in cash. The man orders the plane to take off again. Destination, Mexico City. But he has specific instructions. Fly low. Below 10,000 feet. Flaps down. Cabin unpressurized. Rear stairs deployed in flight. At 8 p.m., somewhere over the wilderness of southwestern Washington, the man does something no one has ever done before. He straps on a parachute. Ties the money bag to his waist. Opens the rear stairs of a Boeing 727 in mid-flight, and jumps into the darkness. Into a rainstorm. Into the freezing November night. The flight crew doesn't even know he's jumped until they land in Reno. The stairs are down. The man is gone. So is the money. The FBI launches one of the largest manhunts in American history. Thousands of agents. Weeks of searching. Helicopters. Ground teams. Dogs, they find nothing. No body. No parachute. No money. Nothing. The man who called himself Dan Cooper, mistakenly reported as D.B. Cooper by media, disappears completely. It's been over 53 years. He's never been found. Never been identified. Never caught. Did he survive? Did he die in the jump? Where's the money? No one knows. This is the only unsolved airplane hijacking in United States history. And the greatest mystery in American crime. Who was D.B. Cooper? Welcome to Case Unknown, where we investigate the crimes that changed nations. The cases that exposed hidden evils, and the stories that demand to be told. I'm your guide through the darkest chapters of true crime. For 6 episodes, we've covered heavy cases. Murder. exploitation, justice failure. Stories that haunt, today, we're doing something different. A mystery. A heist. An unsolved puzzle that's captivated America for over 50 years. No one died. No one was hurt. The criminal became a folk hero. And despite the FBI's best efforts, he was never caught. This is the D.B. Cooper case. The perfect crime. The only unsolved airplane hijacking in U.S. history. And the question that still has no answer, who was he? Before we continue, this episode discusses a hijacking and criminal activity. However, this case is unique. No one was harmed. We'll explore the mystery, the investigation, and the theories about what really happened to D.B. Cooper. Let's start with what we know for certain. Because in this case, there's a lot we don't know. But the hijacking itself? That's well documented. November 24, 1971. Thanksgiving Eve. One of the busiest travel days of the year, a man identifying himself as Dan Cooper purchases a one-way ticket from Portland to Seattle on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. He pays $20 cash. This is 1971. Security is minimal. No metal detectors. No ID checks. Cash is normal. The man is described by witnesses as mid-40s, around 5 feet 10 inches to 6 feet tall, 170 to 180 pounds, olive complexion, dark brown eyes, black hair. He's wearing a dark suit, white shirt, narrow black tie, and black sunglasses. He's carrying a briefcase. He looks like a businessman. And in 1971, everyone on planes looks like a businessman. Flight 305 is a Boeing 727-100. This model has a unique feature, rear stairs that can be deployed in flight. This will become important. The flight has 36 passengers and 6 crew members. It's not full. It's a short flight. Portland to Seattle is only about 30 minutes in the air, shortly after takeoff. The man hands flight attendant Florence Schaffner a note. She thinks it's a phone number. She doesn't read it immediately. "Miss, you'd better look at that note." "I have a bomb," he says. Florence reads the note. It's printed neatly in felt-tip pen. "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit next to me. You are being hijacked." She sits. He shows her the briefcase contents. She sees red cylinders, wires, and a battery. It looks like a bomb. Whether it actually is, we'll never know. But it's convincing enough. The man's demands are specific: $200,000 in $20 bills, negotiable American currency, 4 parachutes, 2 primary, 2 reserve, a fuel truck standing by in Seattle. He's calm. Polite. He orders another bourbon and soda. He pays for his drinks. He even offers to let Florence keep the change. Captain William Scott is notified. He radios Seattle. Northwest Orient Airlines president calls the FBI. The FBI mobilizes. Now here's something interesting about his demands. Why 4 parachutes? The FBI initially thinks he's bringing hostages. If he only asked for 1 parachute, they might sabotage it. But if he asks for 4, 2 primary, 2 reserve, they can't risk sabotaging any. Because he might give 1 to a hostage, this suggests the hijacker is thinking tactically. He understands how the FBI would respond. The plane circles Seattle while demands are met. For over 2 hours, Flight 305 circles. The passengers are told there's a minor mechanical issue. They have no idea they're being hijacked. On the ground, the FBI scrambles. $200,000 in cash is assembled. This is 1971. Adjusting for inflation, that's about $1.5 million today. Seattle First National Bank provides the money, 10,000 $20 bills. The FBI photographs every single serial number. This takes time. But it's smart. If any of this money surfaces, they'll know. The parachutes are gathered. 2 primary chutes from a local skydiving school. 2 reserve chutes. One of the reserves is actually a dummy, used for training. It's been sewn shut. It can't be opened. The FBI doesn't know about this. At 5:39 p.m., Flight 305 lands at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. The plane taxis to an isolated area. A Northwest Orient employee approaches with the money and parachutes. The hijacker allows all passengers to leave. They exit quickly, confused but unharmed. They still don't fully understand what happened. Now it's just the hijacker and 6 crew members, the pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and 3 flight attendants. The hijacker orders the plane refueled. He gives new instructions: fly to Mexico City, stay below 10,000 feet altitude, unpressurized cabin, flaps at 15 degrees, slower speed, landing gear down, cabin unpressurized, rear stairs deployed in flight. The flight crew tries to explain. Flying that slow, at that altitude, with flaps down and gear down, they can't make it to Mexico City without refueling, the hijacker thinks. Then fly to Reno. Refuel there. At 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 takes off again. Heading southeast toward Reno, Nevada, the hijacker sends everyone to the cockpit. He wants to be alone in the cabin. The rear stairs are deployed. The flight crew is in the cockpit. They can't see what's happening in the back. They have a light that indicates when the rear stairs are being used. They feel a pressure change when something heavy leaves the plane. At approximately 8 p.m., somewhere over the Cascade Mountains in southwestern Washington, the light goes off. The pressure changes. The hijacker has jumped. When Flight 305 lands in Reno at 10:15 p.m., the flight crew finds the cabin empty. The rear stairs are still down. The man is gone. So is the money. 2 parachutes are missing, 1 primary, 1 reserve. 2 parachutes remain. The FBI immediately launches what will become one of the largest manhunts in American history. But they have a problem. They don't know exactly where he jumped. The flight crew can narrow it down. Based on the time, the flight path, and when they felt the pressure change, the FBI estimates he jumped somewhere over southwestern Washington. Near the Columbia River. Wilderness. Dense forest. Mountains. The search area is massive. Hundreds of square miles of rugged terrain. Starting November 25th, the day after Thanksgiving, hundreds of FBI agents, local law enforcement, military personnel, and volunteers comb the area. They use helicopters, ground teams, search dogs. They interview hunters, campers, anyone who might have seen something. They find nothing, no body, no parachute, no money, no trace of the hijacker. Days turn into weeks. The weather is terrible. Freezing temperatures. Rain. Snow at higher elevations. If he survived the jump, where is he? If he died, where's the body? The FBI interviews every skydiving expert in the country. They want to know, could someone survive this jump? The consensus: unlikely. Here's what he jumped into: night. Complete darkness. No moon, rainstorm. Heavy rain, wind gusts, freezing temperatures. Below 40 degrees Fahrenheit at altitude, dense forest. Trees 200 feet tall. Mountains. Unpredictable terrain, and here's what he jumped with: business suit. No protective gear, loafers. Not jump boots, no helmet. No gloves, a 21-pound money bag tied to his waist, rear stairs of a 727. Never designed for parachuting, experienced skydivers say it's nearly suicidal. The conditions. The equipment. The weight. The terrain. But here's the thing, no body is ever found. If he died in the jump, hit a tree, landed in a river, crashed in the forest, where's the body? Bodies don't just disappear. Especially with a 21-pound bag of money, the FBI develops a theory: he died on impact. His body is somewhere in the wilderness. Animals scattered the remains. The money is buried or washed away. But they keep searching. Months. Then years. In 1972, the FBI identifies their first serious suspect. Over the next 45 years, the FBI investigates over 800 suspects. Let me tell you about the most compelling ones. Suspect 1, Richard Floyd McCoy Jr., 1972, 5 months after the Cooper hijacking, a man named Richard McCoy hijacks a United Airlines flight using almost the identical method. April 7, 1972. Denver to Los Angeles. McCoy hands a flight attendant a note. He has a grenade. He demands $500,000 and 4 parachutes. The plane lands. Demands are met. Passengers released. McCoy jumps with the money, but unlike Cooper, McCoy is caught. 2 days later, the FBI tracks him to his home in Utah. McCoy is a Vietnam veteran, experienced parachutist, former helicopter pilot. He's 29 years old at the time of his hijacking. The FBI thinks this could be Cooper, but there are problems. McCoy is 29. Cooper was described as mid-40s. McCoy is 6 feet 2 inches. Cooper was 5 feet 10 inches to 6 feet. McCoy was in Las Vegas Thanksgiving weekend 1971, possible alibi. McCoy is convicted of the 1972 hijacking. He escapes from prison in 1974. He's killed in a shootout with FBI agents 3 months later. To his death, McCoy denies being Cooper. His family denies it. But some investigators remain convinced. Suspect 2, Robert Rackstraw, 1970s to 2010s. Robert Rackstraw is a Vietnam veteran, helicopter pilot, explosives expert, paratrooper. He's the right age, the right build. He has the skills, and here's what makes him interesting. In the late 1970s, he's investigated for multiple crimes, including fraud and attempted murder. During these investigations, his name comes up in connection with the Cooper hijacking. In 1978, witnesses report that Rackstraw bragged about being D.B. Cooper at a bar. When questioned by reporters, he gives cryptic answers. Neither confirming nor denying, the FBI investigates. But they can't place him in Portland on November 24. 1971, the case goes cold. Rackstraw dies in 2019. He's 75 years old. To the end, he denies being Cooper. But private investigators remain convinced he was. In 2018, a team of investigators claims they've decoded messages allegedly sent by Cooper after the hijacking. Using cipher techniques, they claim the messages point to Rackstraw. The FBI doesn't find the evidence convincing. But the theory persists. Suspect 3, Dwayne Weber, deathbed confession. In 1995, a woman named Jo Weber comes forward with a shocking claim. Her husband, Dwayne Weber, died in 1994. On his deathbed, he allegedly said, "I am Dan Cooper." Jo didn't think much of it at first. Then she remembered strange things about Dwayne. He had extensive knowledge of the Cooper case. He once said he dreamed about jumping out of a plane. He had a mysterious knee injury he couldn't explain. He took a trip to the Columbia River in the 1970s and acted strangely. Jo contacts the FBI. They investigate. Dwayne Weber was the right age, the right build. He was a World War II veteran with parachute training, but DNA evidence doesn't match. The FBI had partial DNA from the tie Cooper left on the plane. Dwayne Weber's DNA, obtained from a sample, doesn't match. Case closed. Or is it? Some argue the tie DNA could be contaminated. Or from someone else who wore the tie before Cooper. Suspect 4, Kenneth Christensen, family theory. In 2003, a man named Lyle Christensen contacts the FBI. He believes his late brother, Kenneth, was D.B. Cooper. Kenneth Christensen was a Northwest Orient Airlines purser, a flight attendant. He worked for the same airline that was hijacked. Lyle's evidence: Kenneth was the right age and build. He was a paratrooper in World War II. After 1971, he suddenly had money, bought a house with cash. On his deathbed, he told Lyle, "There's something you should know, but I can't tell you." The FBI investigates. Kenneth died in 1994, so they can't interview him, but there are problems. Kenneth was 5 feet 8 inches. Most witnesses said Cooper was taller. Flight attendant Florence Schaffner is shown Kenneth's photo. She says it's not him, DNA doesn't match, the FBI rules him out. But Lyle remains convinced. The evidence that surfaced, in 1980, something incredible happens. An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram is on a family camping trip along the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington. He's digging in the sand along the riverbank. He finds something. Bundles of rotting $20 bills. Rubber banded together, his family reports it to the FBI. The FBI checks the serial numbers, they match. It's Cooper's money, $5,800 in total. All from the Cooper ransom. Badly decomposed. Some bills intact, some fragmentary, the location is significant. It's along the suspected flight path. About 9 miles downstream from where Cooper likely landed if he survived the jump. But how did it get there? Theory 1, Cooper landed in or near the river. Drowned. The money washed downstream. Theory 2, Cooper buried the money. Years of rain and flooding exposed it. Theory 3, Cooper survived, stashed money in the area, and some washed into the river. The FBI dredges the area. Searches extensively. Finds nothing else. No more money. No remains. No parachute. Then in 2020, another discovery, a team of amateur investigators searches private land in Washington. They find what they believe is a parachute matching the description of one of Cooper's chutes. They contact the FBI. But by this time, the FBI had closed the case. In 2016, after 45 years of investigation, the FBI officially closes the D.B. Cooper case. Not solved. Just closed. They release most of the case files to the public. Thousands of pages. Photos. Evidence. Witness statements, but no definitive answer to who Cooper was. So what happened to D.B. Cooper? Let's look at the main theories. Theory 1. He died in the jump. This is the FBI's official theory. And it's supported by most experts. The evidence, the jump conditions were terrible. Night, rain, wind, freezing temperatures. He jumped in a business suit and loafers. No protective gear, the terrain was deadly. Dense forest, mountains, rivers. He had 21 pounds of money strapped to him. That throws off your landing. The parachute he chose was a training reserve, sewn shut. If he grabbed that one, it wouldn't open. Where's the body? Wilderness. Animals could scatter remains. He could have drowned in the Columbia River. He could be buried under decades of forest debris. Why did only $5,800 surface? The rest is still buried somewhere. Or it decomposed completely in water. This theory makes sense. But it has one problem. No body has ever been found. And the wilderness isn't that vast. Hikers are everywhere. Bodies are usually found. Theory 2, he survived and disappeared. This is the theory that fuels the legend, the evidence. No body was ever found. He clearly had some knowledge of parachuting, choice of 4 chutes, tactical thinking. He was calm under pressure. Maybe experienced. Only $5,800 was recovered. What happened to the other $194,200? If he survived, how? He was an expert parachutist, possibly military trained. He landed safely, buried most of the money for later retrieval. He hiked out of the wilderness. He never spent the money because serial numbers were recorded. Problems with this theory. Why has none of the money surfaced in 53 years? Not a single bill spent anywhere. Why has no one credibly claimed to be Cooper? The statute of limitations has passed. He could come forward. How did he survive those conditions? Theory 3, he died, but not in the jump, a hybrid theory. He survived the jump but died shortly after. Hypothermia. Injury. Exposure. This explains why no body was found in the immediate search area. He walked/crawled away from landing site. Why only $5,800 surfaced? He had it on him when he died near the river. Why he never came forward? Because he's dead. This theory is plausible. But again, where's the body? Theory 4, the inside job. Some investigators believe Cooper had inside knowledge of Northwest Orient Airlines. Maybe he worked for the airline. Or knew someone who did. Evidence: he knew the Boeing 727 has rear stairs that can deploy in flight. Not common knowledge in 1971, he specified low altitude, flaps down, unpressurized cabin, exactly the conditions needed for rear stair deployment. He remained calm. Like he'd been on planes before, suspect Kenneth Christensen worked for Northwest Orient. Coincidence? The folk hero question. Here's something fascinating. D.B. Cooper is the only hijacker in American history who's become a folk hero. Why? No one was hurt. He was polite to crew and passengers. He targeted a corporation, not people. He pulled off the perfect crime. He disappeared like a ghost. There are songs about him. Movies. Books. A yearly Cooper Con in Washington where people celebrate the hijacking. Bars named after him. Should we celebrate a criminal? He committed multiple federal crimes: hijacking, extortion, theft. He terrorized 42 people on that plane. He could have caused a crash. People could have died, but because no one was hurt, and because he was never caught, he became a legend. Is that wrong? Or is it just human nature to admire the underdog who beat the system? For 53 years, the question has remained: who was D.B. Cooper? Hundreds of suspects. Thousands of leads. Decades of investigation. An FBI case file 40 volumes long, and still, no answer. He's either dead in the wilderness, body never found, dead near the Columbia River, remains washed away, alive and impossibly good at keeping secrets, or something we haven't thought of yet. The FBI closed the case in 2016. Not because they solved it. Because they ran out of leads, but amateur investigators continue. Private detectives. Hobbyists. People obsessed with the mystery. New theories emerge. New suspects are proposed. New evidence is analyzed. Maybe one day, we'll know. Maybe someone will confess. Maybe remains will be found. Maybe a deathbed confession will prove credible, or maybe D.B. Cooper will remain what he's been for over half a century, the perfect mystery. The unsolved riddle. The man who jumped into the night and was never seen again. In a strange way, that's fitting. Because legends are more powerful than truth. If we found out Cooper died on impact in the woods, the legend dies with him. He becomes just another failed criminal, but as long as he's missing, he's infinite. He could be anywhere. He could be anyone. He could have survived, and that possibility, that's what keeps the story alive. D.B. Cooper jumped into the darkness and became a legend. The only unsolved hijacking in U.S. history. The perfect crime that might not have been perfect at all. This is Case Unknown, where we investigate mysteries that have no answers and questions that might never be solved. After 6 heavy episodes: murder, exploitation, justice, failure. I hope this mystery gave you something different. A puzzle. A legend. A case where the lack of answers is part of what makes it fascinating. If you enjoyed this break from the darkness, let me know. Subscribe for more investigations, some solved, some unsolved, all compelling. Next episode on Case Unknown, we return to the heavy cases. A murder that shocked a nation. A trial that exposed corruption. And a question about justice that still divides people today. Until then, remember, the unknown is only unknown until someone asks the right questions, and sometimes, the questions are more interesting than the answers. This is Case Unknown.